Heron Ballin stepped onto the cracked surface of Quarum, his boots crunching against the glass-like shards of scorched earth. The air was thick with static, the aftertaste of a war that had ended in name, but not in memory. The crimson sky pulsed with streaks of ash, as if the planet itself still bled from wounds carved by orbital bombardments and alien weaponry. He adjusted the visor of his recon helmet, scanning the horizon. Towering skeletons of abandoned warships rose in the distance, rusted hulls embedded in the terrain like rotting tombstones. Quarum had once been humanity's greatest colony, a jewel of prosperity and advancement. Now, it was nothing but a scar, a graveyard shared by both humans and the alien race known as the Cell Rat. Heron wasn't here as a soldier anymore. Those days ended the moment the ceasefire was signed. Now he was an independent retrieval agent, hired by remnants of the Terran Coalition to salvage any remaining data from a buried military outpost deep in the wastes of Kellner. It was supposed to be a quick job. Get in, extract the core, and leave. But Quarum had a way of punishing anyone who underestimated it. His shuttle hissed behind him, locking down into low-power mode. Heron checked his pulse rifle, just in case. Though the Cell Rat hadn't been sighted in months, strange disappearances have been reported by previous scavengers. Some never made it back. The locals spoke in whispers about ghosts of the ash and voices in the wind, but Heron believed in bullets and facts, not superstition. 3 hours into his trek across the ravaged valley, the silence was shattered. A low, rhythmic pulse vibrated through the ground, followed by a sharp, inhuman cry. He froze, bringing up his scanner. The blip appeared on his HUD. Faint, moving erratically, bleeding energy like a dying star. Against his better judgment, he followed it. He found her half buried beneath the remains of a Cell Rat pod. The wreckage was still smoldering, and the creature, no, the woman, was struggling to free herself. Her skin shimmered with an opalescent hue, and her breathing was rapid, pained. Her stomach was swollen, pregnant. Her eyes, large and violet, locked onto his, not with fear, but with exhaustion and something else. Instinct screamed at Heron to walk away. The war had turned the Cell Rat into monsters in his mind, psionic murderers who had decimated his unit and burned cities to cinders. But here she was, wounded, vulnerable, and clearly not a threat. Heron didn't move for a long time. Then, slowly, he lowered his weapon. "You're not supposed to be alive," he muttered. A sudden wave of emotion hit him, not his own. Panic, pain, and desperation flooded his thoughts. Her thoughts. The Cell Rat woman's mind was bleeding into his. Help, child, danger. The words formed not in sound but in sensation, etched across the surface of his brain like fire. Heron staggered back. He'd heard of Cell Rat telepathy, but never experienced it. It was raw, invasive, intimate. "You're communicating with me?" he asked aloud. "Please." She was dying. And the baby, if that's what it was in distress. Heron looked around. No patrols, no backup, no orders. Just a dying enemy and his own fractured conscience. He cursed under his breath. Grabbing his field knife, Heron knelt and began cutting the debris off her. She winced but didn't resist. With effort, he pulled her free and hoisted her into his arms. I swear if this is some kind of trap. But she was already unconscious. Hours later, he reached the ruins of Outpost Theta. It had once been a communications hub, now forgotten by both sides. Heron forced open the sublevel entrance and dragged her inside. The lights flickered to life barely. Dust floated through the air like ancient ghosts. He laid her down on a makeshift cot and activated the old Medbot unit. The AI stuttered awake, chirping low-priority alarms. "Scan her," Heron ordered. "Treat her. Subject is non-human. Treatment outside operational parameters." He overrode the protocol manually. "You'll treat her, or I rip your core out and do it myself." The machine buzzed, then complied. Heron sat beside her, pulse rifle in hand. Every instinct told him this was madness. She could wake up and kill him. The others, if there were others, might be watching. But as the medbot worked, he felt her mind brushes again. Gratitude, peace, fear. Heron exhaled slowly. This mission was no longer about data retrieval. Something deeper had begun, something ancient and dangerous. The kind of connection that could change the fate of species. He didn't know her name. Not yet. But he would. And whatever this was between them, it was only beginning. The dim lighting of Outpost Theta flickered, as if reacting to the strange presence now within its walls. Heron sat slumped against a cracked wall, rifle in hand, staring at the unconscious figure lying on the cot. The cell rat woman. No, Yara, as the word had whispered into his mind before she passed out, slept uneasily, her breathing shallow and uneven. Outside, the wind howled through the skeletal remains of metal towers and broken satellite dishes. Dust stormed across the surface, coating everything in a fine layer of gray ash that never seemed to stop falling. Quorum never forgave, and it certainly never forgot. Heron's mind swirled with questions. What was she doing here? Why was she alone, pregnant, and clearly being hunted? And why, after everything he'd seen during the war, couldn't he bring himself to leave her behind? Suddenly, the silence was broken. Warning. Unauthorized signal detected. Heron leapt to his feet. His visor lit up. An encrypted ping pulsed across the long-dead channels of the Terran Coalition. Someone was scanning the area, looking for something. Or someone. Damn it, Heron hissed. He moved quickly, locking down the outpost doors and switching all internal systems to silent mode. He didn't know if the signal came from a human Black Ops drone or a cell rat hunter ship, but either option was bad. Very bad. Behind him, a soft groan. Yara stirred, her hand fluttering over her stomach protectively. Heron stepped closer. Hey, he said, his voice low. You need to wake up. Now. Her eyes snapped open, glowing faintly with an unnatural light, and for a second, Heron's heart froze. But the fear in her gaze mirrored his own. She sat up slowly, wincing, then spoke not with her voice but through the shimmering link in his mind. They found me. We're not safe here. Heron frowned. Who's they? Images flooded his brain, twisted shapes of armored figures, part organic, part machine. Not cell rat, not human, something in between, created in shadows. Yara's voice echoed in his head again. They were born during the war, from your experiments and ours. Mutated minds. No loyalty, only hunger. Heron recoiled. Warborn hybrids? He had heard rumors. Secret labs trying to fuse cell rat psionics with human military tech. Everyone thought the experiments had failed, but apparently something survived. Something terrible. And now they were hunting her. You brought them here, Heron muttered. No, they were always watching. They want the child. She placed his hand gently on her belly. Instantly, Heron felt it, a pulse. Not just a heartbeat, but something deeper. A raw, surging energy unlike anything he'd encountered. You're carrying something powerful, he whispered. Too powerful. Yara nodded slowly. The child is both. Human and cell rat. The first true fusion. A bridge or a weapon. Suddenly, the outpost shook. Boom! Dust rained from the ceiling as a concussive blast rattled the walls. The exterior door was under attack. Someone, or something, was trying to breach it. Heron swore and grabbed his rifle. You can move. Yara stood shakily, leaning on the cot for support. She nodded. Her eyes were glowing brighter now, flaring with psionic energy. Heron activated the emergency tunnel beneath the command room. It led to an old maintenance corridor running deep beneath the outpost, unmapped and forgotten. This way. Hurry. They descended into the darkness just as the main blast door was torn apart. A terrible screech echoed behind them, metal against metal, followed by guttural, inhuman growls. As they ran, Heron turned back for a second and caught a glimpse of one of the creatures stepping into the outpost. Its body was armored like a Terran exosuit, but fused with sinewy tendrils and spiked limbs. Its head was a split-open skull, revealing glowing neural veins that pulsed in sync with the ground. Its mouth wasn't just fangs. It was a black void humming with raw psionic distortion. "Damn," Heron muttered. "You weren't kidding." The tunnel twisted and narrowed. Lights failed. Yara collapsed once, but Heron caught her. "You have to keep going," he urged. "You and that kid are the only thing holding this madness together." Finally, they reached a hidden bunker, a leftover from Quorum's colonization days. The place was old, but intact. Heron sealed the door, setting every trap and motion detector he had. As silence returned, Yara sat down, her face pale. "We don't have long," she said, this time out loud. Her voice soft and melodic, strange in his ears, but hauntingly human. "They won't stop." Heron knelt beside her. "Then we don't stop either. We get off this planet. We go somewhere safe. Somewhere no one will ever find you." Yara touched his face gently. "You've changed." "I didn't mean to." She leaned forward, her forehead resting against his. The link between their minds strengthened. He saw flashes of her world, her childhood, her people torn apart by war. And in return, she saw his pain. Friends lost, commands he'd never forget, screams buried under years of silence. They weren't enemies anymore. Suddenly, his scanner beeped. Multiple signatures descending fast. "They're coming." "Heron, help her up. Then let's give them hell." The old colonization bunker trembled under the weight of approaching doom. Heron's breath slowed as he stared at the scanner. 9 life forms, all moving with impossible speed, closing in like predators who could smell blood through steel. "They're splitting up," he whispered. "They're surrounding us." Yara sat on the floor, her hands still resting protectively over her stomach. Her skin shimmered faintly, psionic waves pulsing from her like ripples on water. Heron had seen power before, raw, weaponized force on battlefields, but this was different. This was ancient, uncontrolled, and alive. "They know the child's here," she said, her voice low and steady. "They feel it, because they were made from what we were. They want to reclaim it." "You mean take it?" "No," Yara replied, locking eyes with him. "They want to consume it, absorb its potential. If they do, nothing will stop them. Not on Quorum, not anywhere." A silence fell. Heron's fingers tightened around the grip of his rifle. The choice was clear. They run, or they make a stand. But the truth was, no one was coming to save them. No extraction ships, no backup, no miracle. It was just them and the storm outside. Suddenly, boom! A section of the outer perimeter exploded. Screeches echoed through the tunnels, otherworldly and distorted, like broken metal wailing in pain. The lights flickered, casting strobing shadows against the rusted walls. Heron checked the traps, pressure mines, trip lasers, shock nets. He bought them a few minutes at most. And then, silence. No footsteps, no breathing, nothing. "I don't like this," Heron muttered. "Why stop now? They're playing with us." A low rumble answered him. Not mechanical, but psychic. Heron staggered as a wave of nausea hit him. The air shimmered. The walls breathed. And then, a voice. Not heard, but felt. "You stole the seed." Heron's heart skipped. Yara gasped. The shadows around them twisted, and from the far end of the hallway, a figure stepped into view. 7 feet tall, wrapped in tattered remains of Terran and cell rat armor. Its head was a translucent skull, pulsating with psionic energy. Its eyes were voids, black, hungry. It didn't walk, it flowed. Heron raised his weapon. "One more step, and I blow your freak face off." The creature didn't flinch. It stared at Yara, then spoke again, this time in her mind. "Return the seed, or die with it." Yara stood slowly, her aura intensifying. The energy pouring from her made Heron's skin crawl, like static before a storm. Her eyes burned silver. Her voice echoed with layered resonance. "This child will never be yours." The creature growled, then lunged. Heron fired. The bullets barely slowed it. It hit the wall, twisted, and crawled across the ceiling like a demon spider. Yara screamed, not in fear, but in fury. A shock wave burst from her, hurling the creature backward. Pipes snapped, the bunker shook, and Heron was flung into a corner. When he stood again, Yara had collapsed. The creature was gone. Disintegrated or escaped, he didn't know. But the others were still coming. He rushed to Yara, cradling her head. "You're bleeding." She shook her head weakly. "It's not mine, it's his." Her voice faltered. "They're connected. They're trying to poison him with fear." Heron's fists clenched. "We're not waiting for the next one." He activated the backup generator and opened a hidden floor panel. Beneath it lay a rusted grav bike, old tech, but still functional. Yara looked at him, confused. "We're leaving," he said. "There's a black zone 100 clicks north. No scanners, no life. Just storms and silence. They won't follow us in there." She shook her head. "It's suicide. It's hope." He lifted her gently onto the bike, wrapping her in thermal layers. Then, with a hiss of pressurized fuel, they blasted through a hidden shaft into the ashen dusk of Quorum's open wilds. The bike soared above scorched terrain, craters, dead trees, wreckage from wars that ended decades ago. Thunder cracked above, and black lightning danced across the clouds. The sky of Quorum was a graveyard, and they were flying straight into its heart. Behind them, shapes moved. Fussed. Fluid. "They're following," Yara said, barely audible. "But they're not alone." Heron looked back. In the distance, he saw ships, human ones. Old Terran coalition crafts. And they were not here to help. "Those aren't coalition standard," Heron growled. "They're Black Crest." Yara frowned. "What's that?" Heron's voice turned cold. "A ghost unit. D-Black Ops. Even during the war, no one admitted they existed. They want the child too?" "Not want. They made him." Yara gasped. "No." Heron slammed the throttle. The grav bike roared as they dipped into a storm canyon. Lightning struck nearby. Debris flew past. And overhead, the shadow of a cruiser blocked out the sun. All sides were closing in. Mutants, Black Crest, nature itself. And in the middle of it all, a soldier, an alien, and a child not yet born. "Hold on," Heron shouted. The bike dove into a narrow crevice just as missiles struck the ridge above. The explosion chased them into the darkness. Their journey into the Black Zone had begun. The Black Zone was more than just a dead part of Quorum. It was a memory trapped in time. Endless storms churned above like a wounded beast that refused to die. Lightning carved scars into the ground, and wind screamed through the canyons like voices of the damned. Heron tightened his grip on the grav bike handles, dodging falling debris and sudden vertical cliffs. Yara clung to him, barely conscious, her body trembling from the massive energy blast she had unleashed. But it wasn't just exhaustion. It was something deeper. The child inside her was changing. "He's seeing," she whispered in a half-trance. "He knows what they did before the war even began." Heron glanced back. "What do you mean?" But she didn't answer. Her eyes were glazed over, glowing faintly with silver threads of psionic energy. Whatever the child was experiencing, it was connecting her to something ancient. Suddenly, the grav bike stuttered. "Damn it," Heron hissed, glancing at the console. EMP surge. The atmosphere here was charged beyond specs. The grav engine flickered, and then, with a final sputter, it died. They crashed. Hard. Twisting mid-air, Heron shielded Yara as the bike slammed into the ground. Metal groaned, bones jarred, sparks flying. Dust filled their lungs. For a moment, the world went black. Then, silence. He woke first. Blood in his mouth. Ribs screaming. But they were alive. Barely. Yara lay motionless. Her skin was cold, too cold. "Yara," he whispered, lifting her. "Stay with me." A faint pulse. He exhaled, still breathing. They were in a cavern now, some kind of old mining complex swallowed by the Black Zone. The walls were covered in strange glyphs, half Terran, half alien. Hybrid, as if someone had fused both civilizations' languages together, centuries ago. Then he saw it, a glowing terminal, still active. still waiting. He approached. The screen flickered. Echo protocol active. Subject, Heron Ballin, clearance matched. Welcome back, Commander. Asterisk asterisk. Heron froze. Back, he muttered. What the hell? The terminal hummed, and then played a holographic recording. His own face appeared, but younger, cleaner, hollow. If you're seeing this, it means you've returned to finish what we started. Heron's blood turned to ice. You were never just a soldier, Heron. You were the blueprint, the catalyst, the first human chosen to bridge us with the cell rat. Your DNA was the foundation for the hybrid program. You volunteered. You just don't remember. He staggered back. No, that's not true. The hologram continued. We wiped your memory after the program failed. After Yara escaped with the prototype fetus. We couldn't risk you remembering what you helped create. Heron stared at Yara, her face peaceful despite the chaos. Prototype? He whispered. He's not just a child. He's the key, the recording said, to merge psionic and human military evolution. Born from their energy, designed by our hands. He is the echo of two species. He is the future. The hologram shut off. Behind him, movement. A figure emerged from the shadows. Black crest armor, unmarked. A rifle aimed steady at Heron's chest. You weren't supposed to find this place, the soldier said. But it's poetic that you did. Heron raised his hand slowly. You're late. The truth's already out. Truth doesn't matter, the soldier replied. Orders do. Another voice cut through, gravelly familiar. No, orders changed. From the darkness came an older man in a ragged commander's uniform. Scarred face, cybernetic eye. It was Colonel Darren Voss, Heron's old commander. You trained me, Heron whispered. I built you, Voss corrected, just like I built this program. You were the hope we needed, but you broke when she touched you. He glanced at Yara, almost with disdain. You were supposed to be immune to emotion. But love? That's the one variable we never solved. You're here to kill us? Heron asked. No, Voss said. I'm here to fix the equation. He nodded. Two more Black Crest soldiers emerged, holding a stasis pod. For the child. Yara stirred, hearing it. No, she whispered. The air around her cracked with energy. Voss raised a hand. Don't waste your strength. You'll die before the child is born. Let's take him. We'll raise him right. Cold. Controlled. A weapon, not a weakness. Heron stared at them all. Then something snapped. Not rage. Not fear. Awakening. Suddenly, the cavern shook. Not from an explosion. Something deeper. From within. Yara screamed, her body levitating slightly off the ground. Energy poured from her, wild and untamed. The glyphs on the walls lit up. The soldiers backed away, panicked. What the hell is this? One shouted. The child. Voss screamed. He's activating. Heron ran to her, placing his hand over her heart. Yara, look at me. Stay with me. Don't let them take you from me. Her eyes opened, and the world shattered. A blinding blast erupted. Soldiers thrown back. Weapons fried. The terminal exploded in sparks. And when the light faded, only Heron and Yara remained, floating, together. The child's psionic energy had bonded with Heron's DNA, completing the cycle. No longer just human. No longer just cell rat. Something new. Something unstoppable. Yara collapsed into his arms. Weak but alive, Heron looked around at the scorched remnants of Black Crest's elite. Voss lay pinned under wreckage, coughing blood. You don't understand, Voss rasped. He's not a symbol. He's a bomb. One day he'll choose. And if you raise him wrong, we all burn. Heron stared down at him. Then I'll raise him right. He turned away, carrying Yara into the dark, toward a future even he couldn't yet see. Behind them, the cave glowed once more, as if the walls themselves had seen prophecy unfold. The echo was alive, and its choices would shape Galaxies 2 years past. The galaxy forgot the war, but not its scars. Quarum was reborn, not as a battlefield, but as a ghost world, abandoned by both Cell Rat and Terran hands. It was there, deep in the ruins of that scorched planet, that something unimaginable grew in silence. A child, No ordinary child. The Echo-born. Half human, half psionic. Forged from forbidden science and cosmic destiny. Born from love, raised in exile, and watched over by two fugitives who no longer knew what side they were on, because they were creating a new one. Heron stood at the edge of a shattered plateau, watching the boy levitate stones the size of tanks, not with effort, but with curiosity. Yara sat nearby, painting glowing lines on the cave walls with her fingers, singing in a language only the boy understood. His name was Kale. He was 5 years old and looked 10. His eyes glowed silver blue. His heartbeat echoed in the dust. And his dreams? His dreams were of places that hadn't yet been born. "Father," he said suddenly, "they're coming." Heron's blood went cold. "Ooh." Kale turned to him slowly. Everyone, far above Quorum's atmosphere, fleets moved. Not one, not two, three. The Terran Corps had sent a Black Ops army to retrieve Project Echo. The Cell-Rat Council had dispatched a psionic retrieval squad to neutralize contamination. And from the Dark Quadrant, known only in whispers as the Hollow Rift, a third fleet emerged, unmarked, unknown. Something older, something watching. Heron activated the old beacon grid, pulling up the incoming signals. "Damn it," he muttered. "They found us." Yara placed a hand on his shoulder. "We knew this day would come, but not like this." Kale rose into the air behind them. "They fear me, because they don't understand." "No," Heron said, turning to him. "They fear what you might choose. That's what gives you power." Suddenly, the sky cracked open. Dropships screamed down like falling gods. Energy fields shimmered. Anti-orbital artillery flooded. The entire mountain shook. Black Crest soldiers deployed. Cell-Rat dreadnoughts floated behind them, encased in shimmering obsidian armor. And behind them, the Riftwalkers, humanoid, faceless, glitching, beings that did not move, they folded. Heron grabbed his old rifle. Yara's body lit up, tattoos glowing with celestial power. Kale just closed his eyes, and when he opened them, the war stopped. All three armies froze. Mid-step, mid-breath, mid-blink. Even the Riftwalkers twitched like broken data streams, disoriented. And Kale spoke. "I have seen your wars. I have seen your greed. I have seen your lies dressed as justice. You wish to make me a weapon, a savior, a god. I'm none of those things. I am a mirror, and what you see in me is your own fear." A wave of psionic force burst outward, not to destroy, but to connect. Each soldier, Terran, Cell-Rat, Riftwalker, fell to their knees, overcome with memories that weren't theirs, glimpses of peace, laughter, love, humanity. Tears rolled down hardened faces. Weapons dropped. Heron watched in awe as Kale floated above them all, arms outstretched, energy swirling around him like a living storm of hope and pain. "I will not fight," Kale said, "but I will end this." A singularity formed behind him, pure, golden white. Not a black hole, a light hole. It consumed not matter, but anger, hatred, programming, orders. When it faded, all that remained were men and women staring at one another, as if waking from a bad dream. Silence. Then, a single Riftwalker stood. It removed its helmet. It was human? No, hybrid. Like Kale, but older. "I've waited 1,000 years to find you," she said. "You are the signal we've been searching for. You're not the end, Kale. You are the beginning." Kale looked at her, a soft smile forming. "So are you." Heron and Yara stood beside him. Not commanders, not fugitives, just parents. The Cell-Rat bowed. The Terran saluted. The Riftwalkers faded into mist. And in that moment, the war that had raged across galaxies for generations ended not with blood or victory, but with understanding. Kale turned to his father. "What do we do now?" Heron looked out at the quiet battlefield, then up at the stars. "We build something better." And for the first time in galactic history, there was peace.